Hello and welcome to the Suburbanista podcast with me, Dr. Paul McGinn from the University of Western Australia. In late January every year, the adult entertainment industry makes its annual pilgrimage to the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas for the AVN Adult Entertainment Expo and Award Show. This temporary migration of the porn industry from US cities such as Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami and Charlotte, and from around the world, offers porn fans and curious tourists the chance to meet and get up close and personal with porn performers. It's an opportunity for members of the porn community to catch up with one another, to showcase and discuss the latest technological, market and regulatory developments, and celebrate the achievement of performers, producers, directors and writers at the award show, the so-called Porn Oscars. I was at the AVN Expo to take part in a panel based on a research project on porn consumption and the socio-sexual attitudes of fans who attend the expo. I took the opportunity to interview a number of porn performers for a special podcast series as part of the Suburbanista podcast. The CarPoolXXX series takes a look at porn performers as a migrant community and explores the migration and resettlement experiences of performers who've moved to Los Angeles and Las Vegas from elsewhere in the United States. Interviews were conducted with Melissa Monet, Kiki Dare, Ella Darling, Charlotte Cross, and a young married couple, Lindsay Love and Michael Scott, who produce amateur porn. In this, episode 5 of CarPoolXXX, I chat with Alana Cruise, who hails from New Jersey. So sit back, relax, and join me on a journey with Alana Cruise, who served in the US military before getting into adult entertainment. Welcome to the latest episode of the Suburbanista podcast. We're at the Hard Rock Hotel Casino in Las Vegas, and we're here with Alana Cruise.
Hello.
Hi Alana, I'm here to kind of chat about porn performers as a migrant community, and I want to get a little bit of background about who you are as a porn performer, where you've come from, how you ended up in, I believe you're in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So I want to hear just a little bit about that kind of story, but before we get into it, can you just tell me a few things about yourself, where you're from?
Sure. I'm originally from New Jersey, and
what exit?
I'm like from the shore, so I'm not like by the turnpike. Everybody always asks that. Yes, but I grew up there, and I was in the military, so I've traveled all over the place. And
which part of the military? Navy, Army, Air Force?
Air Force.
Air Force. And what did you do in the Air Force?
I was a medic.
Okay. And so you lived down the shore, which I have a close kind of affection with.
Right.
As a student, I spent many summers down that part of the world, and it kind of holds a special place in my heart, actually. So it's good to know that you're a Jersey girl, if I can use that term.
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell us how you kind of moved, when and how you moved from Jersey to LA, and if that move was to get into the industry? Was that the purpose of moving to LA, or did you move for some other reason?
No, I actually moved to get into the industry. I mean, I was already kind of doing some things, but I would have to travel all the way out here for a couple weeks, and I would actually lose more money than make money. So, yes, I decided to make the trip across the country to Los Angeles.
When did you kind of get into the industry? Kind of roughly what year?
I was doing things like kind of here or there, living on the East Coast, and that was in 2014. And then I finally made the move out to California in 2016.
Okay. And when you made that move, did you bus it, drive it, fly it, train it?
I wanted my car, so I think originally I flew, and then I went back and drove my car.
Oh, so you had a massive road trip, basically.
I did.
Okay. And when did you move to LA? When was that?
I'm trying to remember exactly. I think I was like in March of last year.
Okay, so fairly new kind of resident of California.
Yes, I am.
In planning for your move, your big move, did you have a plan? Did you know people in LA? Did you know where you were going to go in terms of which neighborhood? Did you have a house, an apartment lined up?
Originally, like, I flew out and I was planning on just actually staying for a few months to kind of see if I could like boost my career and then still live on the East Coast, but it didn't work. So I was renting a room and I decided I needed my car that I was going to stay in Los Angeles. Drove my car back and I was still renting a room, and that was like a temporary situation until I could save up and like get a place. So.
And how did you find your room?
Online. I did a FaceTime with the person who was like offering the room, and you know, since I wasn't local, we kind of get to know each other and make sure we're not crazy or we're compatible and all that.
And was it another performer or was it a non-performer?
No, it was a non-performer.
Okay.
I tried to ask around if there were performers looking for roommates, but there weren't any, so I just went online and found somebody who was offering a room.
Okay. And which part of LA do you live in? Or did you initially move to, actually?
I was initially in the valley, San Fernando Valley, and I kind of moved a little further out of kind of outside of Los Angeles in Ventura County. So I'm there now. Okay.
And in terms of moving to the valley, because everyone in the world probably knows that the valley is the epicenter of the porn industry in the US, if not the world. Was it deliberate kind of intention to live in the valley so that you could be close to work?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I figured that would be the best place to be. That's where everything is. I'm close to most of the places that I would work, so yeah. And
how did that work out? So, I mean, is it, you know, some people might commute a long distance to go to their job. Did you have a short commute? Kind of living right in the
Yeah, it was pretty simple. Usually, I was kind of within minutes of wherever I was shooting. Occasionally, you know, you have to go into like downtown Los Angeles, which with traffic can be like an hour. So.
And when you found your roommate, when you moved into your apartment in the valley, did you reveal to your roommate that you were in the industry?
I don't remember if I told them that I did porn, but I wanted to make sure that they knew that I worked sometimes from home and I did webcam shows. So I'm like, I need to tell them, you know, because if I'm doing it in their house, I felt like I had an obligation. I mean, I could have hid it, but I was like, you know what, I don't want any problems with my roommate. I want to make sure they're cool with it. And they're like, we don't care, it's fine. So.
Well, I mean, I've been interviewing some other performers and we're trying to get a bit of an idea on, I suppose, some of the challenges that, you know, all migrant groups basically face when they make a move, you know, particularly if you moved on, I presume you moved on your own?
Yes.
Okay, so when you moved to a new city on your own, it's, you know, big experience, you've got to kind of navigate a whole bunch of stuff. And, you know, revealing yourself as a performer, tapping into a performer community is a good way of making the transition nice and smooth. So was that part of your resettlement experience when you came to LA?
Well, I mean, like, I already, like, since I had been coming out to LA to shoot, I already had contacts and I felt like I had some people that I knew, so I wasn't like completely like brand new and not knowing anyone. So I at least had some contacts and some people that I could like associate with and all like that before I even moved. So.
Yeah. So in terms of your social networking here in LA, is it predominantly or exclusively porn community people, or is it porn and non-porn people, or?
Pretty much porn people. My roommate currently is not in the industry.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't really met. I don't have another job or another really way that I meet other people, so it's pretty much mostly industry people.
So moving around in those circles all the time, basically.
Right.
And is that a fairly common thing for performers from your experience? I mean, being here,
I'm not sure. I guess it depends, because there's people like that grew up in this area or, you know, the Southern California area that had other relationships or knew other people, or maybe they have hobbies where they meet other people. I mean, that's my only experience outside of industry people is meeting, like I had the roommates before and my roommate now, on industry, and I still am in contact with my old roommate. So
From when you first moved?
yes.
Okay. And then in terms of, you said you've moved to just outside the valley, basically,
Yes.
around to New County. Why did you decide to move? Was it just kind of...
I needed my own place, and I looked in the valley at first, and it's so expensive. I mean, it's expensive everywhere, but I just happened to find something further out that was cheaper.
Okay, and so that's your own place now?
Well, I mean, I have a roommate, but
Yeah.
I mean, I moved first by myself,
Sure.
so it's like my place.
Okay. And in terms of, I suppose, being in the industry, and I'm thinking about kind of other performers who are friends and stuff. How have they kind of settled into, LA? Others that who've come over from Jersey or West Virginia or Florida or Texas. Are all your friends in the industry, are they migrants as well, or are they are they valley girls and boys?
Well, I know different people from all over, and a lot of them have already been in the area like a long time.
Right.
And they came from other places, but maybe have been in LA like 5-6 years already. So I haven't really met. I just recently met somebody who is she's new to the industry, but she's from here, from that area. So I don't think I know too many people that like made that like recently. Like
The recent
journey.
move.
Yeah.
Okay. And other one of the interesting things about migrant groups is, from different backgrounds, different countries, is that they'll tend to concentrate in certain locations, certain neighborhoods and suburbs. We call them, in geography, ethnoburbs. And I'm kind of thinking, well, doesn't this happen with porn community people? Basically, do they concentrate in certain areas? And is there such a thing as a porno burb or a porno apartment block where there's, a kind of a fairly good representation or presence of people from the industry?
I would say, obviously the valley is the area where most people live because it's convenient. But I do know where I was renting a room around the city of Woodland Hills seems to be where the most people are. I don't know if there's like a block or anything like that, but definitely, Woodland Hills isn't a huge city, so there's quite a few people who live there. I actually lived on the borderline between Canoga Park and Woodland Hills, and it's like the apartment address would say Woodland Hills, and I think it was for that reason, because every time on the GPS it would come up Canoga Park.
Right.
But they want the advertisement, this is Woodland Hills, not Canoga Park. And literally I could go down the street and I'm like, ugh. Like that much of a difference. If I went like 2 blocks, it was not a very nice area.
And in terms of other spaces and places where performers hang out, and it could be anything like from a laundromat to a bar or a coffee shop, because other groups will, other migrant groups will find a space, meet up together, they'll in order to kind of enhance their sense of identity and sense of community. Right. Does that happen within the kind of the adult industry as well? Are there places where you guys kind of hang out?
Right. There's, when I first got there, I know that they come together and they do like karaoke. And so they call it porn star karaoke. The
famous porn star karaoke. So that's come up a number of times.
Right. Yeah, that's the first thing that popped into my head. And it's the only thing I know that people do like kind of regularly. Like there's other things, like I know I was invited one time to a bunch of people who were going bowling, and it was for industry people, but that's the only one I know of that's like fairly consistent.
Yep.
Like it's on a regular basis. Comedians too. I've noticed a lot of people who are in the industry also do comedy, and I get invited to comedy shows quite a bit too.
Yeah. I've also kind of picked up from speaking to a few other performers, religion seems to play a kind of, people come from fairly kind of religious backgrounds. They've kind of mentioned that their father was a pastor, or they come from a fairly religious kind of background, or they went to a fairly religious school of some kind of, some sort or another. So that seems to be don't know how general it is, but it's been a thread that certainly kind of popped up a number of times.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen quite a few girls, and not just in the industry, but in the kink community in particular. It seems to be quite a few people. It's just like, I guess maybe, like, if they're super religious, this is my take on it. It's just like being super religious, you're like told that, sex is, bad, and masturbation is bad, and things like that. And it's like, I think people just go the complete opposite. It's like they want to do like the kinkiest, wildest things, you know. That's what it seems like. It's not always the case, obviously, but.
In terms of your kind of migration and resettlement into LA, was it an easy process? Was it a difficult process? Because, I mean, you moved here on your own.
Right.
I mean, what was the adjustment kind of process and experience like for you?
I'm glad that I knew some people because it really was difficult. Especially I was trying to find a place before I got there, and it's like trying to do that online and from a distance. It's like I don't know who these people are if I'm renting a room and stuff like that. So it was a challenge, and a challenge to find something in my price range.
Yeah.
So that was difficult, and then I lucked out. I got good roommates, and I didn't have to like worry about, I don't know, just. Who knows, you know, you're going to meet like weirdos and crazy people, but.
So you came initially to kind of undecided as to whether or not you would stay. You've been in LA now for over a year
yes.
or so. So what's the plan? Are you there to stay, do you think? Or?
I definitely want to be. It's so expensive to maintain like a lifestyle there. Like I have a roommate, and I feel like, okay, I'm grown up now, I want my own place, but it's so expensive. I'm hoping that I can maintain it because the prices are skyrocketing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things, of course, and you'll be obviously very familiar with this, is the kind of the disruptions that have happened to the industry, you know, over the last decade or so. I mean, do other performers have other jobs, basically, outside of the industry in order to kind of supplement their income, or
I
do
think
they do
a lot
other
of them
things?
do. I know a lot of girls will do things somewhat in the industry, like stripping, the webcamming, which you can do from home. I know some people that did Uber on the side and things like that. So, especially when you're new and you're not working all the time, there's a lot of people I feel like that do other things. I know some girls that have been here a while that are still like Ubering around. I'm like, God, that's so expensive. You could have bought a car by now. I would say, I mean, the newer people is probably at least half, you know, the people who are new coming in. Like, because you're not making a whole lot. Unless you're like one of the like 5% that like just blows up immediately and is super popular, you really can't afford it usually.
One of the things that's come up in one or two other interviews is about performers who've experienced housing discrimination. You seem to have not experienced that,
right.
But I'm just wondering if any of your kind of close friends have had kind of, you know, those type of experiences at all, or if you're aware of any examples.
I know that there have been people that have like kind of questioned and said, well, what do you tell them that you do? Because they're worried about that. And I told roommates, but like when I rented my apartment, I just wrote down that I'm a model. Because I definitely had that in my head. I don't want them to discriminate, because they shouldn't, obviously, but you know, I don't know anyone personally that like experienced it.
Being an adult performer is not a protected minority in terms of housing. It's not. You're not like if you're a particular religious or racial or ethnic group where you'd be protected under law.
Right.
You know?
That's true.
So, you know, what do you put down on your lease form when you kind of sign down? So some people have said that, you know, I work in the tech industry, and they do work in the tech industry.
Right.
You know, that tech's part of the adult industry, basically. So, so we're as part of this kind of whole kind of migration project I'm looking at, it's really trying to see if performers have kind of similar and dissimilar experiences to other migrant minority groups, because obviously being a porn performer, there's a lot of stigma that surrounds being in porn, despite its mass consumption.
Right.
You know, it's what I call the porn paradox. You know, there's kind of millions of people view it, but when it comes to the reality of, you know, who and what a porn performer is and so forth, it's kind of, you know, keep things at distance, or deny them access to housing and other things, or treat them certainly differently. So, so have they been, you know, have you had any experiences like that, or kind of close friends?
Not with housing, but I know with, surprisingly, because like when I was back on the East Coast, I told my doctors what I did, because I feel like they should know what I'm doing to my body, and I was in the healthcare field before, so I'm like, it's important that they know. But I found a OBGYN doctor, and she was like, did not want to see me. And she was like very adamant that she wanted to write me a note that the performers I worked with had to use condoms. And she refused to give me the birth control that I wanted because I have multiple partners. So, I mean, I somewhat understood her point from a medical viewpoint, but I definitely feel like it was a personal thing for her. Like, she just didn't want to deal with that. Like, she didn't feel like, you know, whatever her beliefs are matched up, I guess. And I was surprised because my doctors on the East Coast were like totally non-judgmental, never said anything. They're like, okay, you're careful. Do they test you? And like making sure that I'm safe. But yeah, I was really surprised. I'm like, do you know where you are? Because there's a lot of porn people here. Like, you're going to come across some of them.
Yeah. Coming to the AVN's obviously probably one of the highlights in the kind of the porn calendar in a way. What does the AVN Expo mean for you when you come down here?
Well, it's really a good place to network, like to meet other people, other performers. You know, we'll see each other sometimes on set, but we don't always get a chance to like talk to other people, especially like if you're on set, you're working and you don't always have time to like chat and like talk about different things. So it's nice to come out here and like and meet other directors and performers and then of course the fans. I mean, that's a great way to connect. I mean, I feel it's similar to the concept of like celebrities make movies, but of course when they make appearances, it's like that's how they connect with their fans. And
yeah, I mean, what I find kind of, and this is my third AVN I've been to, is kind of the proximity that performers and fans kind of get to one another, basically. I mean, if you're in other areas of the entertainment industry, you know, if you're a musician in a rock band or if you're a Hollywood actor, you know, would fans get as close and, you know, and up and personal as they do with you guys, basically? There seems to be a really kind of interesting kind of intimacy and relationship, you know, and with you and your fans. You know, when I say you, I mean the porn community, porn performers.
Because I feel like with musicians or something, you know, they're still on stage and there's that barrier. They don't typically go and they might, I guess, like shake hands or sign autographs, but yeah, there is definitely more of a personal aspect because we're face to face, like signing up close and hugging them and taking pictures and all like that. I don't think that happens as often with mainstream.
Yeah. So I know you've got to rush off. You've got the award show on tonight. Are you in the running for an award tonight?
Yes, I am nominated for the Hottest MILF.
And how do you feel about that? Is this your first nomination?
I was nominated last year as well. I'm not super well known, so it's like awesome to be nominated. I know there's a lot of women who are veterans, you know, so that will be my second nomination.
Okay, well, good luck for tonight, and thank you for taking part in CarPoolXXX.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's the latest episode of CarPoolXXX for the Suburbanista podcast here at the Hard Rock Hotel Casino in Las Vegas.